Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Hello, and welcome to the Technically Friends podcast, hosted by Harrison Wolf.
And I'm your co-host, Timothy Reuter.
And now, we're really excited for the conversation today with someone who is technically a friend of both of ours, the unequal, unparalleled Amanda Russo. But before we get to her, we wanted to take a moment to introduce and explain what this project and podcast is really about. So my name is Harrison, and I've wanted to find a way to highlight the amazing people that I've met throughout my life who are, without exception, all smarter, harder working, better looking than me. They're folks with deep expertise in some aspect of the technology industry and who have achieved moderate success in their field. In general, these are people who are on their way up, maybe not the C-suite, but certainly the manager who is navigating their career, the person who you would want on your team to make things happen. And I'm personally sick of only hearing from those people who made it and who really want to hear from people who are still dealing with the challenges of politics, bureaucracy, home life, and other global influences and things going on today.
I'm sure you'll get to know Harrison and myself over the next few episodes. A couple of drone nerds with friends from across the tech sector. If we do this right, it will be as if you're listening in on a meaningful conversation between three work friends talking about the more interesting aspects of life.
And now, as I said, our first guest is unequaled. She's led some of the busiest media teams at the World Economic Forum. She's been involved in national security, and most recently, a few startups in the not-so-hot topic of crypto. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, Harrison. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Now, Amanda, you and I and Timothy all met at the World Economic Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, where it was your job to amplify our work's impact. In other words, your job was to make us look good, to get it published in magazines, news outlets, online forums, and other publications. And now you direct media for what? The Crypto Council for Innovation, you do work outside, and frankly, you're my favorite person to play softball with and just a great person to see the Taj Mahal with. So welcome, and let's get into it.
Yes, I am available for any type of international tours, softball leagues, and media relation activities. Those are the three
great combo.
Sweet spots. Yeah, like personally for me, this is great because for those people joining us, I used to sit in the same room as Harrison and Timothy. So the three of us are very used to having chats about what we're working on, what we need to do during the day, but also just chatting about.
And your dating life, let's be honest here. Although we won't be covering that in this podcast so much.
Okay, it's a follow-up. That's a follow-up. Yes, they are like my dating gurus.
Yeah. I think her husband might have a problem with us talking about her dating life. So we don't want to talk about that.
Technically, he does owe some stuff to you guys because we did do a wrap-up after a couple of the dates with him, and you guys did help me kind of like piece through some stuff, and you guys were like, no, you actually really like this person. You should really go through it.
I think we did a mind map on it or a vision map, maybe some boards.
There were definitely Post-it notes involved, as with all things for work and personal life. Yeah, exactly. It's just pretty normal. It's pretty normal. But yeah, so after the WEF or after San Francisco, as you guys know, I went to Geneva to run the media content team for the World Economic Forum. And then the past 3 years, I've been here in DC. So it's moved to another new city. And I've been running comms for a trade association called the Crypto Council for Innovation. So started in 2022, right when the market crashed, which was fun. And then when it couldn't go any further, FTX happened. So that was great.
What is FTX?
FTX, the crypto exchange. Sam Bankman-Fried was the illustrious founder. Got into some legal trouble, and that was a fun Thanksgiving. So that was good. But now things have changed in the U.S. People have kind of gotten their acts together, and we're looking at potential regulation by the summer, according to President Trump. So it's like literally night and day compared to a few years ago. So yeah, navigating media stuff has it's been fun. But one thing, I'll let you guys go, but I have a funny story from an event, a crypto event that I went to last week.
Sure.
Yeah, we like funny stories. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, turns out I'm at a crypto event at Cafe Milano. It's like a hotspot in DC, right? And it's crypto and central banks. So I'm like, okay, what's the last thing you expect to come up? Drones. What's the last thing you expect to come up? The Rwandan drones pilot project that we worked on. So it was touted at this event by an Indian economist as an example of how Rwanda was correctly adapting to the tech environment and trying to be forward thinking, and that it saved lives, and they were responsible for agile drone regulations. And I'm in the audience like, you gotta be shitting me. This is like, really?
For those that don't know, that was the Rwanda project was the thing that Timothy and I worked on for like, what, 3 years?
3 years.
And we were basically told, hey, here's a country that wants to do some great things with drones. Yeah. Figure it out. So anyway, back to you. Yeah. Again, you're making us look good, but you know.
Well, no, but like, so this was the thing. This was like the big project that we all worked on, and this was one of the big case studies at the WEF of like, how do you get drones and commercial aircraft to navigate the same airspace? And here we were 3 years later at an event that had nothing to do with drones, but talking about how regulation needs to be agile. And it was used as a positive case study for how this could go. And I went up to the guy after, because I was like, there's just no way that this is happening. And so I went up to him after, and I was telling him about you guys and how I was doing the PR for your project, and this was the thing. And he was like, no way, that was so cool. Like, what a great project. And like, we heard about it in India with the Maharashtra pilot project that you were working on. And I was just like, this is such a cool example of why I love my job, because I'm not a drone expert. I was never going to be a drone expert. You guys were, but I get to work with you and help tell that story, which is still going on 3 years from now. And it was foundational for that. So like, that's why I really like my job.
That's cool.
Because we get to talk to meet cool people like you guys, but then actually work on impact stories.
And for the audience's knowledge, Amanda was the one who actually got people's attention on this. So Harrison and I did the technical work and formed the relations, and then Amanda is the one who helped it be more broadly known. And so basically you're being fed your own press information, almost like some sort of CIA psyop that is returned back to the U.S. as a fact. So the circularity of this is pretty delicious.
Yeah, and it was so fun, because I love that example, because I think during that time I probably said the word drones every other day, multiple times a day. So it was like, oh yeah, crap, this was a really big part of my existence, was telling people about this drone project and about the landscape of Rwanda, and that it was full of mountains, and this is a thing, and it takes 4 hours, and now it takes 40 minutes. And I was like, oh, I still remember all of these talking points, like almost verbatim. That's how much we talked about this.
So Amanda, I actually want to take you back to your early days, because your first positions after grad school were mostly focused on terrorism analysis.
Yes.
What did you learn about public communications from studying terrorism and terrorists?
So I'm glad you said it like that, because my mom, when she used to tell people about this, used to be like, oh, what is Amanda up to? And she's like, oh, she's doing terrorism stuff. So in like 2000 and... in like 2010, that was like quite a statement. It was a little bit more emotive than today, thank God. So thank you for saying analysis, Timothy. But it was really a very strange bridge, but it was meant to be. After 9/11 and after, all of the whole, like, what am I going to do in college? I really wanted to go abroad. I wanted to study international topics, and I wanted to study things that were current and relevant. So I didn't want to do theory. I didn't want to do like international relations theory. Okay, so couple different things. When I was in grad school, I went overseas to London School of Economics and wanted to study something concrete. So not international relations theory. I wanted to study like what is happening now. I was fascinated by political science, fascinated by terrorism analysis, conflict studies in general. So I got into a master's program to look at that. And while I was interning, because this happened right when Lehman crashed, so getting a job out of grad school.
We've been through some shit, haven't we all?
We've been through a lot of stuff. Trying to figure out as a 22-year-old what a credit default swap was and why the housing market was causing me not to get a job was like, what is happening? Like, there weren't a lot of, was the iPhone around? Did we have iPhones? I think the iPad had just come out. The iPad had like just come out at this time, and like you still had to pay for data.
Right.
You still paid for data at this point. Like, I didn't have a BlackBerry. This was not as easy as it is right now. I feel like this is like the equivalent of like I walked uphill both ways to school in the snow for 5 miles.
Absolutely. Back in the
day.
Early aughts, yeah.
Back in the day. So the practicality of stuff, long story short, the practicality of stuff is what is happening? Why is it happening? Why is it happening in these places was really intriguing. And I was like, I want to learn more about this. So when I got a job, it was as a entry-level analyst at this intelligence company, which sounds a little bit like spooky, but it wasn't. There were no private security guards. It was providing analysis and insights and forecasts into a bunch of different things: economics, political risk stuff, security risk, all of the above. So it was really very interesting. And because I was pretty junior at the time, because I was like right out of grad school, I worked on the US desk, and then I worked on the current intelligence desk, which meant you had all these briefings that would come in overnight, and you had to produce all these reports every morning for all the clients across like energy, construction, general security, general political risk, whatever. So all of a sudden I started consuming all this news every day from all over the world. And I was like, oh, all this is interconnected. All of this is like, people are like watching what's happening in other places. And it was fascinating because I was very young. I had no idea. I was from like inner city Boston area, or like right outside of the Boston area. Not a lot of people were like interested in what was going on in Thailand or Djibouti or South Korea. Like, people were interested, but not as like, you know, an 18-year-old or a 15-year-old. It was just like a slightly different thing. So I was like, this is amazing. And now I'm around all these international people from all these different countries, because the whole company's motto was from the region for the region. So to be on the Asia desk, you had to be from Asia. And then they brought them to London, and they worked in London. So it's this amazing international workspace that was really only replicated when I got to WEF. And I was like, oh my God, there's all these like fascinating people from all over the world who are united in this one cause. This is really cool. So I started consuming all this news. And then the company at the time was going to get ready for a sale. And the new managing director they brought in was like, you know, we need some type of like external presence to help bolster our sale. But none of us really knew this. So basically they said to me, they were like, look, you're not afraid to talk to strangers on the phone. Like, you'll just call people. Do you want to do comms for us or media relations? And I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know what that. And they were like, well, see what it is. Figure it out. We're going to give you like a list of people, and like your job is to like get people on TV. And I was like, all right, well, sure. I was like, if you guys are okay with me trying it, I'll try it. But like, that wasn't really my goal. It wasn't like my objective of like, this is what I'm going to do. At the same time, in the back of my head, I was like, well, what do I want to do? Because a bunch of my friends were going to Afghanistan. They were going to Iraq. This was during the surge, or like right after the surge.
And that's the path I took, just for
right.
You know, I worked in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do well there. I don't think that's for me. And like, how am I going to say to my mom, hey, Mom, by the way, gonna go to Kabul? Like, she'll like lose her mind. So I was like, I don't think it's for me. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go back to the US right now. I'm loving Europe. So I was like, I'll try this thing. First day on the job was the Arab Spring. So like the Tunisian fruit seller or vegetable seller lights himself on fire, and everything starts going crazy. And I knew all of the people who were on the different desks, and I knew, because I worked with them on the current intelligence side of stuff, I knew like, okay, Zainab does this. She's from Iraq. Her specialties is this. This is what she kind of thinks. this is Faisal. He's from Lebanon. He looks at this type of stuff, blah, 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 blah. And overall, like, it was translating what they were saying to different clients for what we could say publicly. So, like, I would cold call journalists, like on a list that someone gave me on Microsoft Excel, from where, don't know. And we'd be like, hi, do you guys need someone to come on the news tonight to like talk about what's happening? And this was when like you would still call people, because this was what, 2011, 2012, something like that? I forget exactly when the Arab Spring was, which is bad. I'm going to say
we won't quiz you. It's okay.
Okay. Where you would have to still call people and pitch them over the phone. So they're like, who do you have? And I'm like, oh, well, whatever. And they'd be like, some of them said yes. And I was like, So like, you got to go on CNBC. They seem very interested to talk to you for what's happening. And they were like, okay.
So let me just jump in. How is that different from today? Just real quick. Like you say.
Exactly the same.
Is it? Because you said, oh, that was when you call people.
And that's what you did to get us out there, right?
Yeah,
you
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like, hey, here's what's happening. Do you want these people? But now, unless there's so many people and there's so few journalists, like cold calling a journalist.
You got to build a relationship.
Yeah, I'd prefer to build a relationship first so they know who we are. And like, this is what we do. So that way, when I do text or I do call, I know I'm not interrupting their day and they know who I am and they're going to take my call. Because some people, they just have so much, reporters have so much to do and there's so few of them now that I'm just hyper conscious of their days, and getting a cold call maybe from someone for something that's not really urgent. Like, we're not working in an Arab Spring situation. Like, maybe if there was a really big crypto crisis, I could call people who I don't know to say like, look, hey, this is what we're saying. Like, this is why we're saying it. Let me know what you need. But it's a really quick call, and you always have to like have the rest of the info ready to go on like text or email for them. It's not like, oh, I'll follow up in a couple days or something like that. It's like, nope, here you go. Take it and go. So yeah, it's changed a little bit. I do miss having a desk phone. That was great. And you could actually like call people and like get calls in. I'm really old school. I miss a desk phone and Blackberries. Like, if I could have that again, that would be really good.
Bring back the good old days of terrorism and Blackberries.
Well, maybe not the first part, but definitely the Blackberry. Definitely the Blackberry.
Let's ask the next question.
Sure. I mean, so something that I'd love to get your perspective on is I think there's been a shift in the public's attitude towards technology from a techno-optimism in the Obama era to increasing techno-pessimism starting in the first Trump era, but increasing until today. Why do you think this shift occurred, which is part of what I think you're trying to push back on at the Crypto Council, and how did the tech industry lose control of the narrative?
A couple different things pop out as you say that. I think we are used to things moving so quickly now that it's like, what else you got? Think, oh, ChatGPT, now you can do this stuff on ChatGPT. Okay, great. What else can it do? So whereas before it was like, wow, this is an iPad. And like, that was it for a little bit of time. The spacing between launches and trying to keep up with stuff is now at breakneck speed. So some of the other folks that I've worked with in the past are now saying that you can't have a separation between your product team and your sales team and your comms team. So before you could have people doing all those different things. But because of the speed of what's happening, you have to have those people embedded with the product guys and gals, because otherwise you're going to miss a bunch of different updates and you can't miss them anymore. It needs to be at the pace of the news cycle and at the pace of the social media cycle now. So that is one thing that I think has led a lot of people to get a little bit impatient, to say like, okay, well, what do you got? Like, why is this taking so long? When we did this I love a little bit of context. We did this really long thread about how long it actually takes tech to develop. So the first time, I think the first TV broadcast of sports was, I think, 1946 World Series. Like, that was the first time you could see a baseball game on TV. Maybe it wasn't 46, but in the 40s, okay? People didn't have TVs in their homes until the 70s, like en masse. That's a long time. Like, the first digital camera was like the size of a toaster in the 70s. And it didn't come in our pockets until really the iPhone. Like we had digital cameras, we had stuff on there, but I had like a Motorola Razr with like 5 megapixels, and I was like living large with 20 photos at a time on my phone. So I think it's been such a quick pace of scale that people have just become impatient more frequently. So I think that's what it is, because we can do some really cool stuff.
Let me
Quickly.
actually push you a little more on this.
Yeah, let's do
It's
it.
a topic I'm very interested in.
miss this so much.
I mean, I think, impatience is definitely part of it, and we've just been through a lot of cycles. But I think we've gone from a time where people were excited how Facebook, really was connecting us. And suddenly I could find all these friends who I'd lost touch with from high school to now, AI is going to steal all of our jobs and take away all of our agency. And I mean, I don't agree with that assessment, but I think people now feel that technology actively does harm in a way. And I guess, how do you, to bring it back to your lived experience, how do you push back on that, say, in the context of crypto, where the narrative's gone back and forth from this is really going to empower individuals to, this is a land of scams. So how do you try and get ahead of the narrative and think about how that narrative has changed in the context of your work?
I think if we look at it from a crypto perspective, the big thing is regulation. Smart regulation is supposed to help protect people and build confidence in tools, and to give people some guideposts that say, like, if you play outside of this, rule book's off. We can't help you. But if you do, this is what you're going to get, and we're going to try to help make sure what people offer is what consumers are getting. So that's really what we've been trying to push for in the crypto industry, is to say, look, we've got publicly traded companies here. We've got a lot of legitimate businesses who want to offer this product as a service. There's a demand. There's something like 20% of Americans have used crypto at some point. That's a lot of people. Yeah. So there's a groundswell there that is not just going to go away. So how do we protect these folks and maybe speed up our banking system in the process? Like, why do things take 2-3 days? Why is the cost this cost? Is there any way, now that we have all this extra new technology, to make things move at the speed of an email versus what we had in the 90s? So it's a forcing function. So that type of regulation piece that we talked about at the WEF, it's still talking about now, is not the be all end all, but is one thing people can do, because there is a lot of harm here. And I think the social media stuff is a really interesting point, because social media has been around for a long time, and I don't think we have lots of regulations around that at all. They haven't been able to figure out how to do that. So there are a couple of bills that almost got a lot of traction last year, like the Kids Online Safety Act. So it does come up every now and then, but there hasn't been a, end result yet from a regulation standpoint.
In a way, I guess, if you were thinking of an analogy, is it's sort of like when you're going skiing and you see signs that say, hey, this is the slope, but if you go over here, we're not going to come rescue you. You can play over there, but don't wait for us to come rescue you. You're going to have to find your way back.
Yeah, it's like you can do whatever you want with cash.
Sure.
People do bad things with cash all the time. Like, we used to see a whole bunch of, that's how people worked in the black market. It was cash, right? Now the funniest thing about this whole thing is people say, oh, crypto is used by criminals. Why, if I was a criminal, would I use something that I could be tracked and traced with eventually? Like, there is a digital footprint with whatever we do online. No matter how many things you can mix it around, whatever, you could, if you spent enough time and you had enough resources, things can be tracked down, things can be found.
Sure.
So that's what's happening. Like, we've seen press releases and stuff from the Department of Justice that basically said, well, thank God these guys used crypto because we found them. And it's easier to find stuff and to get back ransoms and all this other stuff in crypto than trying to track down a suitcase full of cash.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that, from a crypto perspective, that the consumers who are using this stuff are not getting scammed, and they're aware of scams, just like you see on Venmo or Zelle. There's a thing of hey, do you know this person? Hey, FYI, this is a thing. So we just kind of want to bring up consumer awareness, because it's still new here. You can't go buy groceries with crypto in the US. You can in Argentina. You can in Vietnam. But like in Vietnam, 70% of the people don't have bank accounts. So like they're going to have new things. Like that's what we talked about at WEF all the time is the leapfrogging. You don't need, like, a bunch of countries didn't do landlines. They went right to cell phones.
Right. So I guess like taking a step back, you're often behind the camera, right? Not in front of the camera. This is somewhat of a different role.
It's a new thing.
Yeah. You're doing great. Just want to know. But I remember like a big part of your expertise is actually preparing other folks for media interviews, for speaking to the public. And I'm just wondering, how do you prepare someone for that? Like, how do you approach that situation? I think folks coming up in your industry might be really interested to hear how it maybe differs from preparing yourself to preparing others. And I think I've been very successful in being in front of the camera because I had that time with you at the WEF. And so, I was just wondering if you might share some tips or thoughts on that, on your approach to that.
Yeah, I can send your viewers the invoice after for the time spent.
Yeah, I should say you do charge for some of this once in a while.
I do charge for some.
Friends discount, technically friends discount.
Technically friends, yeah. Do you guys have like a cute, like a discount code you can give people?
We'll set one up with your consulting arm.
We'll set one up.
Podcast / technically friends.
There we go. Perfect. I love it. It. So I did theater. I think Timothy and you and I bonded over this a little bit. I did theater as a kid. Surprise, surprise. And so it's all about presentation. And I think, interestingly, my brother is also in TV. So my brother is writing live TV every week and helping to produce live TV. So there was something in the Russo household that lended itself to this medium for, we don't know why, but here we are. And so it's a cross between giving people entertainment and telling them something they don't know. And the thing that I always tell folks is, as you're going on TV or doing an interview, like, you and your experience and your knowledge is your superpower. No one else has that but you. No one else has had your experience. No one else has that type of frame of reference. So when people want to interview you, they want to interview you. Like, they want to hear what you say. So I view my job is to try to bring out the best in each of the individuals that are going on TV and encouraging folks to be themselves and to try to get to the point as quickly as possible, because a news broadcast is very, very fast. Sure. So some of the things that I would pass on to your viewers is, like, own your own messaging. Like, what are the 2 or 3 things you want to say? And I know you guys probably remember some of this, but it's like, if you have 2 or 3 things you want to say, what are they? Write them out before, write them out, because we all tend to go long in our heads for what we want to say. But if you had 3 things to say, each under 10 words, what would they be? Write them out. And then when you're going on the program, think about who's watching that. What do they want to know? What are they going to tell their bosses? What are they going to tell their direct reports? What do they want to talk about with their friends and family? Because people just want to communicate on smart information. So it's like, oh, did you know there's like a crazy drone company that's like delivering life-saving blood and like saving people's lives? I'm like, what? Really? What does that mean? How do you do that? So it's a conversation starter. So I'd say start from those 2 things and then just enjoy it. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to go on TV or the Technically Friends podcast.
You're the first.
I know, it's an honor. It's like, have fun, like, enjoy your time, because, when else are you going to be able to do this? So don't be so nervous.
Yeah, I think there were 2 things that stuck out to me, and you hit on one of them, which was, make sure you have your 3 points well known, what you want to convey, exactly how you want to convey it. Be concise, because it's short amount of time. But then the thing that really stuck with me is that you're the expert in the room, right? Like, they're coming to talk to you for a reason. And so that really helped me with my, my imposter syndrome, or the expert. I thought that maybe, this was going to be a gotcha question, right? People aren't there to gotcha. They're there to support the argument that they're putting together. And you'll know if you're there to be the foil, right? To be the bad guy. But like, you're really good at this, right? So how did you, going back, I think, to that story you were telling earlier about, going from the terrorism world, being asked to do this, at what point did you actually know, like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I should keep doing this?
Ooh. It's weird because like I have this thing of like, ooh, should I say I'm like really good at something on camera? And I'm just gonna like lean in.
We'll say it for
Yeah.
you. You
Okay.
are amazing, and we would not have had the success that we had without you being there.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
And the
The number
incredible
one
advice and
media
support.
person canceled on us, so we got the number two media person, which was you, if that makes you feel better. No, not at all.
It's a good question. I'm trying to think if there was a point in time when I thought like, oh, maybe I can do this early on, because I do have a very bad memory. Like once you kind of go back 15 years or so, it gets a little fuzzy.
Maybe it was over time. Maybe it was a
It
time
might
you
have been
got to a
over
place and you looked around, you're like, how did I get here? I don't know.
Definitely at WEF. Like once I definitely got to WEF and so it's WEF related.
Sure.
It's WEF related. When I was like, wait a minute, I think this is going okay. So after the analysis company did get bought by a company called IHS, which is was a big data and analysis company that it's now been bought by S&P Global into like a mega conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
There was a random meeting where the boss I had, his wife was like gonna have a baby in January. The other lady on the team had just resigned, and someone realized, oh, crap, we need to send someone to Davos with our CEO and chief economist. And they didn't want to send someone from the US because of price. So I was in London, and they were like, well, she's the only one left. Amanda, do you want to do this Davos thing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And so like I got a previous comms plan from the person who left. And it was like, well, you're going with the chief economist and the CEO of this publicly traded company to do media for them in Davos. And I was like, okay, I know this is a big deal. I was like, this is a big deal for me. I don't know what this Davos thing is, but I know these other two guys are big deals in the company. I need to figure out how to get this right. And
how old were you about? If you don't mind setting the frame, was it like early 30s kind of thing?
No. I was like 26.
Wow, okay.
27.
You got a great opportunity early in your career and you took it and you jumped in.
I was like, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I always just said yes. Someone just told me, they were like, no matter what it is, you just have to say yes, you'll figure it out.
I had a similar
like, okay.
experience, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll figure this out. Let's go to Switzerland. That sounds fun. And then I remember at the end of the Davos thing, we had gotten like 25 or 30 interviews completed. And I did a report, I ran a report because I'm all about I like the data and analysis behind it. And I was like, the media coverage that I got with this guy was around the same type of stuff as what Microsoft got in terms of mentions. And I was like, okay, maybe this is okay. Maybe I'm actually able to compete like this because these people seem to not hate me at the end of it. I enjoyed really working with them. And they seemed to just go along with what I was saying. I was so nervous to tell the CEO and this chief economist guy, hey, by the way, this is what you're doing. This is your schedule. We're going to do CNBC. We're going to do Bloomberg. And I'm just going to be with you all day. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm going to be with you for all day and run you around. And the chief economist, Nariman Baravesh, ended up being one of the great reasons why I am successful at what I do. He was a huge Amanda supporter and just was he was later on in his career. And I think he kind of realized if he just lets me run him around Davos and run him around all these different media organizations, he's at the end of his career. He knows he can do all this stuff. He was a seasoned media pro. He was excellent at what he did. He didn't need me, but I needed him. And he knew that. And so he was like, okay, Amanda, whatever you want to do, we're going to do. No matter what country this news outlet's from, if you think it's a good idea, I'm going to agree with you and we're going to do it. And we ended up becoming this super cool team. And then a lot of other people were like, hey, wait a minute. We want to do that stuff at Davos with Amanda. So at the end of my 5 years doing this with IHS, I had 10 analysts who would jump on the Davos train. And we did 1 year, 85 interviews and events within 4 days with all these people who were heads of divisions at this publicly traded company where like stuff can go wrong. Sometimes people say really weird things at publicly traded companies, and that's not good. So you had to be super careful, and it had to be targeted, and it wasn't just like a machine gun approach. But I was just like, I really like doing this. I'm learning a lot every day, and I get to meet really cool reporters who are like the best in their game because they're going to Davos and reporting with all these high level people. So I think that like stuff at IHS was one of the moments where I was like, oh, actually, I think this is really cool. And like some of those people who I met there like came to the wedding with you guys.
Yeah.
Like they were there, and I've known them for years because we met in Davos, which sounds like the most pretentious thing you can possibly say. But I mean,
it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
It's our life.
So let's actually dive a little deeper into your lessons learned.
Okay.
What do you think you've been doing right career-wise that's allowed you to get to the point that you are, to have the success that you've had?
Yeah.
And what are a few things that you're trying to do better for the future?
You just have to keep going with stuff. So a lot of times people are going to tell you no. Like you're going to pitch stuff, like the drones thing. To get the coverage that we got, for every one person that said yes, I probably had like 15 people that were like, I don't think this is a good idea. But eventually you're going to find someone. So if you like what you're doing and you believe in the project, you just have to keep going. Some things are going to be easier than others. Like Nariman was a great person to work with because he was the chief economist. He knew what he was doing. He talked in sound bites. He liked that collaborative approach. Like he was great. Not everyone is not everyone's written like 5 books on the global economy and stuff like that's a different thing. But you just have to kind of keep on going. You have to just blindly say yes. Like that 100, you just have to say yes and see how it goes and trust that you're going to figure it out, or you're going to ask people to help you figure it out. Because if a lot of times I would talk to different people and say like, look, this stuff isn't working. Why do you think it's not working? What should we be changing? Should I tweak it? Should I not tweak it? And sometimes people say like, we don't know. We don't know. So the other thing is being comfortable operating with complete flexibility and being agile, because everything changes so quickly. You have to be comfortable saying like, yes, I just spent a week on this thing. It doesn't work anymore. Like it's gone. Like I did it, it's fine, whatever. I can't say woe is me all the time. You just have to go. One of the things that I'm trying to do less now is to work less. Because it's very easy for me to just be like, this is what I'm going to do forever. Like, I'm only going to do work today. It turns out for me, that is not the right mix anymore. Like maybe when I was younger.
Why not? What changed?
I think I'm just getting tired.
We're getting older. All of
getting
us.
older. I'm getting older. But like, I think it's just like, I want to look at other things. Like I want to talk to, I don't necessarily want to just be pitching for like 5-6 hours a day. Like I want to do more strategic stuff, or I want to think about learning other things like different types of SEO stuff or playing around with ChatGPT.
Do you want to work less, or do you just want to change the tasks? Everything you've just talked about is work. It's just different work.
I guess they're more like passion projects. So like I want to spend more time tweaking around on like ChatGPT to figure out like, can I do other cool things that maybe I'm missing? So I don't view that as like work.
Okay.
I view that maybe more as like learning.
That makes sense. Sure.
Learning stuff. But like other things, like before I used to never go to the gym. Like you guys know this. I would not go to the gym. I would not try to take care of myself. And now I'm just like, I need to actually put the phones down. I need to do to my 10,000 steps a day. I need to cook myself a healthier dinner. It's not like I guess what I'm saying is Amanda is no longer an afterthought.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because I'm so used to, as you say, and this is partially because I like doing it, I like making sure other people are happy. Like, I like making sure that other people's projects are successful, they're trained up and ready to go, they have all the extra briefing materials, they have all this other stuff, or like I can help a friend do grocery shopping for them if they're out of town or something like that, and like send people flowers. Like I like doing stuff for other people. I like making people feel special, but I realized I wasn't doing a lot of that for myself. And so I'm kind of like rejigging things now to say professionally, like what else can I learn today? How else can I help myself later? Am I going to do my steps? Am I going to hang out with my dog? What's he doing? What does he need?
What do you listen to at the gym? Or like, do you listen to anything? Do you listen to podcasts? Is it books? Is it music? What's on your playlist? Is it Backstreet Boys?
Going forward, it will always be the Technically Friends podcast, obviously.
Of course.
Great answer.
It's always the cheesiest pop.
K-pop?
It's in the mix. It's in the mix now. It's in the mix now. But yeah, Backstreet Boys, the only thing I've loved consistently since I've been 12. Backstreet Boys and food and water.
Did you go to the New Kids on the Block Backstreet Boys concert?
I sure did. Do I have tickets for the Sphere? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We are going. We're going. They're my guilty pleasure. I love them very much, as you know.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's cheesy pop stuff. If I'm walking, I do love an audiobook. I'm listening
History buff, I imagine, if I remember right.
Yeah, there's a mix. I've tried to mix it up now, but I'm now listening to Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the Nike story, which is fascinating. I did listen to that crazy Ron Chernow, J.D. Rockefeller book that's like 1,000 pages or something. That was crazy. That was like...
Didn't even know it existed, sorry.
It's very long.
It's very long.
It was a lot of steps. It was a lot of steps for me and Ron Chernow.
Well, I think in your vein, I would recommend the Ulysses S. Grant memoirs if you haven't listened or read those. They're super good.
Heard about this. They're supposed to be great.
It's good. You wanted to ask something, but go ahead.
As I have you. You know, one of the things that I found so interesting working at the World Economic Forum is so many of the rules that I thought were the norm for just how you communicated things or how you worked with people were inverted, you know, especially working with consulting companies. I guess, you know, what did you find different working at the World Economic Forum than working in other contexts? And I don't know, how have your personal beliefs been challenged by what you've seen in the world?
Seen at the World Economic Forum or just seen in the world in general?
Both.
Both. Okay, big questions. I've missed talking to you guys. So the interesting thing about the WEF was twofold. One, people would answer your calls.
Yes.
They were just like, ooh, World Economic Forum. Okay. Or at least if they didn't like you, they would still be intrigued enough to answer your call. So that made some things a lot easier. Like the media team there genuinely was phenomenal. They had built up a bunch of relationships with many, many major publications, many really just first-rate producers and journalists and stuff. So the credibility was there for a lot of stuff that you don't get at another organization. And internationally, like it was very much unprecedented, I think. Whether you like the WEF or not, like the team has done a great job. Then on the other hand, it was really interesting because a lot of people would challenge you and say like, well, what have you done? Like, okay, WEF, you have this big platform. Like, what does it mean? What are your impact stories? What are the stuff? So we were often rolled out as case studies, as examples, like we being us at the C4IR and then the other different projects that we were working on. So it really, my lens when I was focused on stuff was what are the things that are changing and how can we tell the story of that thing changing? And the follow-up is the sticking point that a lot of folks in comms there's a lot of announcements, right? Everyone loves an announcement, but like what happens next? So like it was really cool when we were doing stuff like just sticking with the drones thing. It was like, okay, here's Rwanda. Okay, here's India. And then here's what's happening. Here's what happened with the test projects. Here's why this is important. So that follow through was really, really important because it was like, okay, we'll take your call, but we're not just gonna like run your story just because you're the WEF. You have to still like, yeah, you got over hurdle 1. You still got hurdle 2, 3, and 4 to get through. And the lens is very, very focused on what exactly have you done and why, because of the reputation of WEF, because that you're a global organization. People didn't cut you a lot of slack. Whereas maybe at other companies, startups, maybe they do, probably not, but they were really out to like, okay, tell us what's going on and why. And then in terms of things that have changed, one of the things that I did not expect was how many businesses, international businesses, want to do things better. So working on some of the environment stuff that I had to do, I kind of went into it with a little bit of bias thinking like, oh, you know, big companies, not necessarily the biggest promoters of change or whatever, but what they were really interested in is business continuity and resilience, right? They want to be a company for a really long time. How do they do that? And how do they make money? So if you could tell them about like a nature positive solution that could make them money, they were like, great, let's do that. And so I was like, oh, so you have all these like really big companies that you don't think are gonna maybe be as forward thinking or progressive or open to the conversation, because they're like, oh, we're natural resource company and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, like we're open. What do you want to do? How can we do this? How can we pitch this and make money? So I left with a more positive feeling for what big business could do to change the planet. Because if they want to do it, they can, and they have the resources to do it. So that was one surprise.
Huh. Yeah. Well, I know we're getting ready to close out, but I actually have one final question that I'm interested in that is just a little bit of a heavy hitter. So I think the brand of globalism and globalization that in some ways the forum stood for is very much under siege, right? I mean, in America, but not just in America, politicians are really turning against globalization. Mm-hmm. And this to me raises the question of, you think that if we just better communicate about global cooperation that we can change that trend? Or sometimes are there just much bigger forces that make the communication strategy not the most important thing? Or how do you adapt when it sort of feels like mega trends are going in the opposite of direction of what your organization stands for or what you believe?
I think that so one of the audiobooks I listened to was one of Ray Dalio's many books. And he was, you like him or not, one of the things he said stood out to me was like, it's the same situation, but slightly different. So we're always in a cycle of we hate globalization, we like globalization, we hate, it goes back and forth. As I've gotten a little bit older and have started to think about, I have Potato, well, my dog Potato is sleeping on the floor here. So that's why I'm going like this. Thinking about, what can I do for my family? How do I make sure that they have the best life possible? Like, how many dog beds can I buy Potato? I need more is the answer. You become very hyper aware of your own situation and your own family. So I think people's natural guts are to say like, okay, how can I make sure that my world is good for me and my family? And I think a natural thing is like, you want to make sure that you're good, maybe versus someone who you've never met on the other side of the planet. So it's a very easy thing to say like, well, yes, of course I want to protect my family. And if someone is giving me an option or an opportunity to do that, I'm going to take it. It's not a bad thing. It's just a natural, I think, human situation. But one thing, because I've been very fortunate to work in different places and work with different people, is that everything is connected. Mm-hmm. How the things we have to power our phones are from potentially mines in the Congo. Like all the different supplies that are coming in from around the world, like where's the water supply coming from? Probably not the state of California. It's coming across borders from somewhere else, or other way around. Like maybe Nevada is supplied partially by water in California. So it's no matter what you do, you cannot live on an island. So talking to people and coming to speak to people where they're at becomes more important than ever, because a lot of people are up for whatever. We saw how everyone kind of banded together during COVID when people were explained, like, we have to stay home for right now because of XYZ, because it will help save people's lives. It's going to suck, but we have to do it for right now. Everyone did it. Everyone was like, we don't like this. This is terrible. But people understood and they did it. So people genuinely want to help all the time. They just need to people need to help communicate what that means, and just to make sure that people feel okay with the decisions that they're making and giving them the information to make those decisions in the best way possible for them and their families. That's kind of where I think we need to go.
Well, Amanda, it's been so wonderful reconnecting with you. Thanks so much for coming on the Technically Friends podcast.
You guys are welcome. So are we technically friends now?
Thank you for joining the Technically Friends podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed yourselves. We certainly had a good time catching up with Amanda. If you're looking where you can find us and find more information about the podcast and some of the other work we do, check out s3-autonomy.com/technicallyfriends. There'll be more information there. You can subscribe, and certainly subscribe on iTunes or Spotify or any of the places that you find podcasts. And if you can't find us, let us know, and we'll make sure that we're there. So on behalf of Timothy Reuter, I'm Harrison Wolf, and please join us next time. Cheers.